Hey everybody, my name is Jennifer. This is Metatron speaking. Today's video is going to be a little bit different than what I normally talk about. Um, Bear with me on this one. So, on my website, we have a brand new service right now called a Lightworker Activation. The purpose of the activation is to help light workers take the next step in their journey. It's intended to increase gifts, psychic gifts. It's also intended to raise consciousness into 6D. So this is the point of me telling you that story. So me and Susan, who run our website, we of course do all of our activations before we provide them to the public. And then also when I'm recording the video for part of the activation process, I am getting kind of reactivated. So, point of the story is I've gone through our Lightworker activation. My consciousness definitely got increased to 6D because all of a sudden I'm getting downloads of information that are very complex, that are beyond what my ego and what my mind can really currently understand, but they're definitely trying to expand my mind in that direction. So, for kicks, I'm going to share this with you and see how you receive it. I don't know. This might be a bit much, but we're going to try. So, let me see. So, the trouble about talking about this kind of thing is that it's really hard to verbalize it, which makes it seem less real to the people I'm describing it to, which is you guys. So, what I'm going to be trying to describe are very complex topics. I'm going to be trying to describe feelings. Um, have you ever tried to describe feelings to someone? Like, if you pretend that there's like an alien being that you're trying to explain something to and they know nothing about feelings and you're trying to explain love to them, what does it feel like to be in love? Can you verbalize that? Or what does it feel like to go through heartbreak? There are many things in this world, the most complex and the most true things in this world do not have words that are sufficient to explain them. So I'm going to be like feeling around in the dark, feebly giving you the best words I can to explain the experience, but it's not going to even begin to touch it. What I'm going to do, haha, okay, I don't know if you can. It's probably in reverse because of the way I have my camera, but this is one of Amanda Ellis's sprays. This one is the Cosmos element. I'm going to spray this because I need to expand our minds before I start talking about this. It's nice. Okay. So what I'm going to tell you, it's either going to sound overly simple and overly obvious, like, yeah, of course that's how it is, even though your mind is like not quite grasping it, or it's going to sound absolutely impossible. Um, and it's neither of those things. It's just mind-blowing and I'm having a hard time processing it, obviously. So, I'm going to try to describe higher dimension realities where unity is the reality. I'm going to try to do this while you and I are in 3D bodies and we have a mind and an ego that is designed to project a separation reality, right? So when I talk about this unity reality in another dimension, it's not going to sound right. It's going to sound impossible. Listen to yourself. Listen to the objections that you raise. Listen to your reaction to the things I say. When you hear yourself say something like, that doesn't make sense, I can't imagine that. That's your ego talking. And that's my ego talking too, because while I'm telling you about this, my ego is still going to be like, The ego is still intact, you know? The ego is only present when we are incarnated. It is only present when you have a body. Its job is to keep you safe. When you have a body that you need to protect in order to stay alive, it makes sense that you have an ego. When you die, you don't need protection because you don't have a body, so you don't need the ego. But yeah, the ego just helps to warn you constantly about dangers so you can stay safe. It was especially important in early human development when survival was all we focused on all day. But nowadays, in modern society, we don't have saber-toothed tigers jumping out of the bushes at us. We don't need that overactive ego that we all still kind of maintained. Um, so, in modern society, and especially in higher consciousness, ego is a stumbling block, which we all know this, right? Ego tries to hold you back and talk you out of embracing truths that it cannot fathom. Ego doesn't like to change because change is scary, and ego is all about avoiding anything scary. Ego doesn't like things it can't understand, so it labels them as not real, pretend, lies, or just impossible. When we die, we don't have a body and we are in higher dimensions. There is no ego. We talked about that. It's an illusion that's part of being in a body. It's an illusion so we can experience what it's like to be separate. We can only believe we are separate from the whole if we believe we are different from the whole. So ego creates a bunch of labels that feel unique and separate from all the other people. Ego wants to be important. Ego wants to be special because those traits are going to make ego, you, separate. You're special, you're different. You're separate from everybody else, right? And that's a positive way to experience that is, oh, I'm good and separate. So now, so all of that was just background. That wasn't even, that's not even what I came to tell you. So what I was shown, I believe, yeah, that's kind of the vibe I'm getting. I was shown a representation. Theoretically, it could have been literal, but I believe I was shown a visual that was a representation of what all souls really are. So breathe in that cosmos element, expand your mind spray, and let's get going with this. So I want you to imagine, this is what I saw, a large, very, very, very extremely large mass of energy. It was living. It was this huge mass, and it was one entity, but inside of it, I could see all souls. Um, and that's complicated because I didn't see it, I just knew it because I'm getting information in multiple ways during these downloads. So imagine like a free-form kind of amoeba shape, very, very large. The composition of this mass is important. So the composition of the mass of energy was uniform. So what I mean by that is that if you were to like stick your hand into this mass and pull out a handful of energy, it would be the same exact components, the same exact thing in your hand as that whole giant mass. It'd be the same exact thing if you pulled from the center of it, or pulled from the outside, or pulled from the right, or pulled from the left. That handful of energy, let's just go with this. So if I take a handful of energy from this giant mass, this is a soul. It is given a body, and it is given a planet to live on. I can see that whole energy, or the one massive energy, is very compassionate of all the handfuls of energy that are being taken from it. So the one energy, the unity of all of us together, is very compassionate towards the individual souls that are taken from it because it is it. They are the same. It's not like, because when I used to imagine, oh, we're all one, you almost think, I'd think of like a human body, right? And I'm like, oh, it's taking my hand or it's taking my foot. But no, your hand is not all of you, it's just your hand. This is a literal identical copy to what this large mass is coming off of it. Um, yeah, so our souls, let me make sure I tell you everything. So our souls are identical versions of the one energy that we all belong to. They show me each of these handfuls of energies, which are souls, they show me each of these souls as wearing a mask. Before they put them in the body, or as they put them in the body, they're putting on a mask for them. So the mask is representative of their body, their race, their gender, how rich they are, where they live, what their hobbies are, what their job is. It's all a ruse. It's all pretend. It's all this fake, constructed outer layer so that they feel separate from that mass. We aren't individuals. We are a duplicate of the one energy who is being allowed to experience separation and individuality for learning. But everyone is actually us. That's where my mind is having an explosion. Every living thing is actually us. It's not until we return back to the energy that we can actually feel that truth. Feel it. My guides showed me, and I can't process it. My guides, so one of them, I had two of them that did it to me. One of them was Archangel Michael. So I know his energy. I know how he feels and behaves and sounds and everything towards me. So it's kind of scary. They essentially took off their masks. They took off their identity. They took off the things that I'm like, okay, that makes you Michael. That makes you this guide. They removed that and they merged their energy with mine. Like literally, like one on top of the other. And so I could feel all of who they were, all of their energy. And it was a trip because all I could think was, you don't you don't feel like you feel like me. And that was, I didn't like that because I want them to feel like them, because my ego is very comfortable with separation and having everyone be their own person. But when they pulled off their mask, they felt like me. So there was that. And not only that, there's this really intense energetic need for all the energies to be together. So not just like next to each other, but literally combined the way my guides did with me. So when they combined with me, it was kind of freaky because it was like, oh, you feel like me, but it was also like, oh, this is how it's supposed to be. You shouldn't leave. Like this, we are supposed to be together. So it was really weird feelings to have. Your energy craves being returned to the rest of itself. It's like two water drops on a table. Have you ever noticed how if you have two water drops like on a table or on a surface, they get really close to each other, all of a sudden, bloop, it's just one water drop. They just really want to combine if they get anywhere near each other. Basically our energies are like that when you remove all these, the body and all these layers to them. And afterwards, after you have that single drop of water, can you separate out which water drop was which? No. They are combined. They are one. It's that same chemical makeup with souls in higher realms where and this description might not suit everyone, but I'm going to go with it. It's like we are atoms. If anyone has science, chemistry background, it's like we are atoms with an unstable number of electrons on that outer ring. And so we are so eager to interact and combine and balance out with another energy to make us stable. And that's exactly what the feeling was. And again, that might not be the best example for some of you, but a long time ago when I went to college, it was for cell and molecular biology. And so that example actually resonated really well with me, which is why they show me that. Um, so that is my best explanation of what they showed me, which of course is not sufficient to explain the magnitude of what I was shown, but I hope you found it interesting anyways. If you are interested in taking the next step on your journey as a light worker, if you are interested in having more gifts, if you are interested in having insane 60 consciousness downloads, um, the service is available on our website. You can check it out at Orange Light Energy, and we can help you take things to the next level. That's everything I have for today. Until next time, everybody, bye bye.